Okay, and somebody take a screenshot of the picture of all of our faces. I love that. So let's take a few of
Can
those
people
and we
turn
can
on,
use
if
that.
you can turn on your video, please. I can take a quick screenshot.
Okay.
I see, I don't know whether Aaron, Joseph, Shay, I know who you look like, but if you don't mind turning on, but if that's a problem. There we go. Joseph, do you want to turn off? And Aaron?
I think I
Okay,
should be on now, Dan.
We see you now, yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Dan, you're on.
Okay.
Good morning, Jared.
Hi, good morning.
When do we say smile?
We're turning on our cameras to take a quick photo if you all without the cameras on want to participate.
We ready? Okay, I think this is about ready. Smile. Oh, at the time. Oh gosh. Stacy or Mitch, do you mind taking? Because I have 3 screens. So when I take it, it's going to be tiny on my.
Yeah, we can.
Mitch is my IT go-to person now. Smile nicely.
Okay, I'll do it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
I have
All right.
3 pages of pictures. Did you get all 3? Or do you have all the tinies?
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. All right, tell me you can
Got it.
see that. Can you all see it?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, perfect. So welcome to our first ever mid-year TCA meeting. So happy that our TCA members as well as our faculty were able to join today. And I am absolutely thrilled to be taking over as your president for these next, I guess, 2 years. So I've been involved in TCA since its inception, and I've loved seeing how it's grown and thrived. So for those of you that I haven't met yet, I look forward to meeting you and getting to know you better, hopefully in person at our annual meeting. I have been working very closely with Gui Ping this past, since the whole year, really. She has been extremely engaged in our TCA activities. And if you haven't gotten to know her, I encourage you to reach out because she is fantastic and very, very engaged. You will see a theme through our activities for this year because my goal is to better engage our TCA members, our IEM alumni, and also our IEM faculty. So that theme kind of runs through a lot of our activities as you hear the committee reports, etc. I think in engaging our TCA members, we've added a newsletter, which is brand new to us. And thanks to Mitch and his team for getting out our first one. Hopefully you all have seen that. And also added this mid-year meeting, just so we have another touch point and not just the annual meeting each year. For to better engage our alumni, Mike Bartlett and his team are planning some meet and greet receptions at a few of our Populous centers. And then we're also planning some virtual sessions for those that aren't in those centers to kind of meet and greet each other and also get to know Gui Ping better in those. We are also planning to reach out to our younger, I'll call it early career IEM alumni and really engaging them more. We don't want to have kind of a blackout period when they go away and then we try to pull them back. So we're going to try to better engage them, as soon as they graduate and keep them involved. And then for our faculty, we're including them in both of these TCA meetings. And this one, as you see today, many of our faculty are joining us and presenting today. And then also we'll include them in our annual, when we do our induction in the fall, and we'll have a reception with them as well. And I know various committee chairs have been working with individual faculty also. So that's kind of some of our goals. We have an outstanding executive committee and board, and I would like to just briefly introduce them. So Phil Farrington is our president-elect. Thrilled to have
Stacy?
Phil. Yes.
Stacy, are you intended to flip through the slides? Because we are
No, this is just intro right now. So I'll get to
Okay.
the agenda in 1 second. I just wanted to give some introductory.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Stacy.
Okay. So Phil Farrington is our president-elect. Lee Blank is our treasurer. Alejandro Moranto is our secretary. Jack Gertz is the past president, and that's our executive committee. And then we have Mike Bartlett, Tom Britton, Brian Eaton, Virginia Pitts, Mitch Myers, and Greg Watson, also on our board of directors. So thanks so much to all of them. So with that, we'll go into our agenda for today. So Gui Ping is going to give kind of a state of IEM department and announce our new giving society. We've been working for quite a number of months now to get that in place and help IEM get that in place. So she's going to talk about that. We're very excited about that. We then have 4 faculty speakers that are going to share some of their areas with us, and that's really to help get us, the TCA members, to understand what they're working on, and also to help make those connections with industry for some ideas of where these can be applied. So that will be a 2-way discussion, and we'll leave time in each of those for some questions and answers. And then we'll do our TCA committee reports and tell you what's been going on in our various committees. And then just some closing remarks. So that's our agenda for today. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Gui Ping for her remarks.
Thank you so much, Stacy. So on this screen, I can now see everyone, but it's very nice to meet everyone. Thank you for joining. I know I've met a lot of you in person or on Zoom over the past, 10 months. Time flies, which is a great thing. So I'll spend the next 10 minutes or so to talk about what we are up to in IEM. And of course, the main goal is to hear your feedback and input and how we can take IEM to the next level. So these are some numbers, because in industrial engineering, we have to see numbers in order to sort of get our process improvement going. So right now we have 17 faculty members that include Dr. Sundaresh Haragu, who is in the Dean's office, and we have 24 PhD students. The reason why I include this is that this is a historic high. Our PhD program in the past typically is around, 14, 15. And then in the last year or so, we had a bump increasing in PhD students. That shows our increasing in research activity and also productivity down the road. MS students, that's a little bit low. This is where I can use some advice or guidance, how we can attract Master of Science students. We do have a very nice ETM program, which is the Engineering Technology and Management program. We are on the trajectory to grow and improve. And I know Dr. Terry Collins has been working with the TCA committee to think about ways to update the curriculum, as well as going out to talk to potential stakeholders or students to join the program. We have about 120 undergraduate students that has been sort of dropped a bit, but flat. I kind of want to see this grow back to the historic high of 200. That may take some time. And I see Dr. Jennifer Glenn, who is our undergraduate director, in the meeting, and later she'll talk a little bit about the, not necessarily the program. We may not have the time, but she has a request. If you don't mind, flip to the next slide, Stacy.
Oh.
So I'm not a rankings person, but I do need to keep an eye on this because a lot of university resources as well as resources from the dean's office will somewhat based on ranking. So in terms of the IEM program rankings, we have been improving by last year we were at 38, now 36. Among public universities, we were at 28, now we're at 26. And I'm very proud our ETM program, it was at 11 or 12, so now it's the top 10. So it's a very attractive program. I put some goals there for us to aspire to. And at the bottom, there are some major ranking factors: graduation and retention rates, undergraduate academic reputation. In a way, later on, I think you saw my email about our IEM research symposium. The starting point of that was I started a program called undergraduate research program. So in a way, we are trying to enrich undergraduate student research experience, not just research, because some of the projects are actually very applied. So if you have ideas or projects that you think it can engage or help enrich the undergraduate experience, please reach out to me, and that can help with our not just ranking, but overall experience. Next slide, please, Stacy. So another thing that I want to sort of put on the slide, foster interdisciplinary collaboration. That has been the theme when I was even talking to the dean's office, as well as during my job talk. I'm a very interdisciplinary based person in my own career. A lot of my projects are interdisciplinary. And I personally think IEM, we shine at the intersection of different disciplines. So on the screen, we have different areas that currently covered by IEM. And this it's from our website. We're actually updating our website to reflect what is being covered in our current IEM faculty. So energy, transportation, healthcare, and then the later three, those are more methodological focused. This is very much aligned with the president's strategic initiative. She had 4 strategic areas, including energy, aerospace, healthcare, and agriculture. Just in short, of course, her strategic area is a little bit longer, but I think IEM, it's very much prepared and aligned with her strategic areas. So another thing I have been trying to do is plugging our faculty into some of the university initiative as well as those in the dean's office so that we will increase our IEM visibility. Next slide.
Oops.
So,
Yeah.
so you will hear 4 selected faculty members later. Each of them will talk about 15 minutes with 5 minutes for Q&A. And I know they want your feedback. So one thing I've asked them to do is try to keep their talk short so that they can get your feedback. Anyway, it's probably not the right thing to categorize into different area because of the interdisciplinary nature, but I try to put it into specific areas so that in case you're wondering. So OR is more of the traditional mathematics and algorithm design, and supply chain production has been a focus area in this department. And this can apply to all kinds of disciplines. And now I'm very happy that we have 3 junior faculty in the human factors area. You'll hear Pratima talking about her research later. And in the manufacturing data analytics and machine learning, we have 4 junior faculty members. Chen and Paratosh will be talking later in the program. Next slide. So I'm going to share a couple of departmental initiatives that I've started in the last year. So the first one I mentioned earlier is a URA program. In the past spring semester, we've sponsored 10 URA undergraduate research assistants. They are working with faculty applied. Some of them are applied, some of them are more theoretical. And then to leverage or to plug in more of the university and college initiatives, I've tried to put more emphasis into minors and certificates. These two, data analytics for engineers minor and supply chain and logistics minor, are the ones that I think we can have a very nice plug into the college. And the next one is what's called exploratory research program for inter and transdisciplinary research. So I'm using my endowment to support junior faculty research projects, which are high risk, but potentially high reward. One of the goals is that they will submit proposals, externally funded proposals as a deliverable. And I'm looking for help or input on industry and applied research projects, because when I was doing exit interview, one of the comments is that the students, they really want to see more project-based research. So if we can get projects from our TCA members or industry collaborators, that can definitely enrich their learning experience, whether it's through curriculum infusement or through the URA program. And then the bottom one is the CELD Center for Excellence in Logistics and Distribution. I'm in the process, I currently serve as the site director. I'm in the process of reviving that. And what I want to do is broaden the scope. It doesn't have to be logistic and distribution. So anything that's related to general IEM with data, with some models. So if you have certain projects that your company are interested in exploring, then please talk with me. Stacy, please, next slide. So couple initiatives that we've started. I'm not going to go into details, but our undergraduate director, Jennifer, I think she's online, and Timmy is our graduate director. Dr. Terry Collins is the ETM director. And I'm going to briefly pass on to Jennifer. She has an ask on our senior design. Jennifer, do you mind plugging?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Hu. Yeah, so I'm Jennifer Glenn, and for those of you I have not met, I'm our undergraduate program director. I'm an associate professor of teaching, so my focus is on teaching and undergraduate curriculum. And I'm also the faculty for senior design. I teach our senior design course. And I'm excited that today we will be participating in the SEAT Senior Design Expo, where our students present their results. We have 5 teams today who have spent a semester working on industry projects, a wide variety, very indicative of industrial engineering. We have one working for a nonprofit, a couple for very large corporations, and one for a startup. So we're very excited about that. But as the faculty for that course, I also am the one who solicits the projects that we do. So I am already looking for opportunities for our students for the fall. Again, as a reminder, in case you don't know, it's a semester-long class where groups of 3 to 4 students will go and work for a company based on a need that they have expressed. We typically try to stay within a couple hours of Stillwater so that they can easily drive and visit. We did have a group go to Dallas though this semester, and we can also do virtual. So anyway, I talked to Gui Ping about kind of tapping into our TCA network in terms of if you know of or could suggest ideas for the fall for our students I have to start working with the company usually a couple months before the semester starts, so I would need to do that this summer. And so anyway, we would love to partner with you or someone in your network if you're aware of any opportunities. So don't hesitate to reach out to me via email. I can set up a meeting, but would love to partner and with anyone in the TCA or in your network. So thanks a lot.
Hey, Jennifer, this is Shay Braun. I'm just curious, could you just give us one or two examples of projects the types of projects that you guys have done and supported?
Sure. So again, it runs the gamut, of course, in classic IE fashion. For instance, we have worked in the nonprofit sector with food banks. Typically, they don't have the money to hire consultants, but we've worked with them and with a large food bank in Oklahoma City or Tulsa. It would be things with like warehousing, facility design, layout, processes, those kinds of things. This semester we worked with a very large company on modeling their cross-docking, their logistics company on modeling their cross-docking costs and times, did using Python and R to look at how to allocate costs and how to capture costs, things like that. We've worked in healthcare. Looking at everything from just the way that maybe a surgery area is laid out, scheduling, things like that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, great.
So
Those are great examples. I appreciate that. Thank you.
the main thing is, they need to be able to do it in a semester, and so and I usually work with the contact at the company, kind of setting a preliminary scope for the project, and then of course the students also work with that. So yeah. Any other questions?
It looks
Hey,
like
Jen.
Brian has one.
Jen, Brian Eaton.
Yeah.
What is the typical size of the student team, and what is like their average time commitment per week or whatever during the semester on working on a senior project?
Sure. Our teams are typically 3 to 4 students, and they typically rank the projects in terms of their interest. So I try to match their interest, and usually I can. They have a faculty mentor on our faculty who will meet with them weekly to provide input, technical expertise, etc. They have a mentor from our IAB, our Industrial Advisory Board, also who can provide feedback. And then the class, then I teach the class, and so that it's a 3-hour class. And I work with them and I meet with them every week as a group and then individually. And then their time commitment typically, it's for a 3-hour class. So, typically I would say, some weeks are heavier than others, but they do site visits, they work independently. I would say they probably spend anywhere from, about 10 hours a week probably on the class. Some a lot more like this week. I'm guessing there's been a lot of time spent. We have
Sure.
and we do presentations throughout the semester. We have an initial presentation that they give when our IAB visits up front, when they're still kind of scoping the project and trying to kind of formulate some ideas. So they get that input early on. And then we do one middle of the semester just to the faculty, so that, so it's not, they don't just end up at the end of the semester without any input along the way. And then I work with them very closely throughout the semester.
Okay.
And I really love doing that.
Awesome. And we've got about 1 more minute. Tom, could you type your question maybe? And Jennifer, if
Sure.
you could just respond in the chat to Tom,
Okay.
that might be good just to keep us on time. Guiping, do you have any
Yeah,
more
can
comments?
can you flip through just I'm going to just go ahead and announce the Kankei Society. I think that slide can be skipped given the time. So a lot of you have received the invitation for the May 2nd event, and today we are doing a soft launch for the TCA member. I'm super excited to announce the establishment of the Kenneth E. K. Society. It's basically an honor for Dr. Ken Case for his sustaining support and gift to IEM in particular, but OSU and also the broader industrial engineering discipline. The goal is really to foster philanthropic activities to support IEM academic and research program. At the end of the day, it's important that we engage our alumni so that they know what's going on in the department. And without this mechanism, there has been some challenges in the past. And hopefully with this, we'll be able to engage our alumni even more. So I'm just so far, Stacy has informed me that we have about 50,000 leadership pledge already, since we've been working on this for the last probably 4 or 5 months. Thank you to Mitch Myers, Tom Braden, Mike Bartlett, Stacy, of course, right? And John English. We have been, meeting on a weekly basis after working hours. I can now say enough appreciation, show my appreciation to their dedication and work to help this department to grow. So I'm just super excited to announce this. And if you don't mind, flip to the next slide. And these are some donor recognition. We have document about the specific activities we have, and every year we'll have a donor banquet in conjunction with some other departmental activities like honor some awards along with this, but these are different levels of recognition. And with that, I will pass back to Stacy.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. Yes, we're very excited about this, and hopefully you guys will be able to attend the May 2nd event as well. All right, so with that, we're going to our faculty presentation. So Paratosh, are you on the line? Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm
So
here.
you can take it away, and we'll have 15 minutes, and then we'll try to allow 5 minutes for questions at the end.
Okay, sounds good. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be presenting my research that I've been doing at OSU, and also the broader theme of my research. So I'm an assistant professor at IEM, and basically my area of research is in this domain of decentralization, especially its applications and methodologies to optimization and machine learning. Next slide, please. So I'll give a brief overview of my academic background, and for those of you who may not be familiar with what is decentralized computing, I have a short primer to kind of like help you identify maybe some pain points that you might be facing in your organization, and then we can kind of continue the discussion offline. And then I'm going to be looking at like a few broad-based research themes that I have, going on in my lab right now. And then I'm going to be just giving a brief overview of those research themes. Next slide, please. So I basically got my PhD in computational science from Georgia Tech in 2020. After that, I was a NASA-funded postdoc at Georgia Tech for 2 years, working on like a variety of different things, broadly related to decentralized and distributed computing methods. If you were to broadly look at my research, it sits at the exact intersection of computation and or domain concepts like optimization, machine learning, and analytics. So that's basically where my research is located. Next slide, please. So for those of you who may not know what is decentralized computing, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have at least some time or the other heard of this term, that is decentralized computing. Basically, it's a concurrent processing computational paradigm where you might have multiple stakeholders and they're all engaged in collaboratively and together trying to solve a common compute intensive task. So that's basically the problem setting. And the idea of decentralization basically comes from the concept that you want to achieve some degree of autonomy to all the stakeholders. You want to promote some type of resilience. You want to make your algorithms more scalable. And as a result, decentralization is actually a special case of the broad area of distributed computing. Now, from an organization perspective, is decentralization for you or not can be determined using like very simple rubric. if you want computational efficiency from, let's say, geographically distributed data sites and silos, then maybe decentralization is the perfect, kind of solution for you. Or you might want to have data privacy. You don't want to move data. And these are basically the two different, reasons why you would want to go for something that is decentralized at the enterprise or the organization level. We've been seeing a lot of applications and methodologies that are coming out in decentralized methods from the research standpoint. We have seen like energy systems, there's a lot of decentralized methods there. Supply chain is a big area where there is a lot of pain points associated with visibility and planning. Critical infrastructure cybersecurity, which I've worked on in the past, is also a big deal. But lately we are seeing like decarbonization being like a kind of like a very nice problem that can actually benefit from decentralization. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about this concept as well. Next slide, please. So broadly, if I were to kind of present my research right now, we can have three different pillars that we can kind of look at it from. One is the kind of methodological and application contributions of decentralization in the operations optimization domains, where you're trying to bring in multiple stakeholders to try and kind of solve a common problem. The next one would be to try and apply and build new methods for doing artificial intelligence and machine learning models in a decentralized way, where you're still able to capture the same statistical patterns that you would have otherwise captured if you had moved all the data to a central location. And the third part is basically like a very something that I've been working on for quite a while. It's basically a cloudless compute framework that can allow you to kind of architect these algorithms at the enterprise and at an organizational level. That is kind of like that we have also looked at. Can you go to the next slide, please? So we are going to look at operations optimization. So one of the things that I've been involved with is basically like the idea of promoting and facilitating industrial decarbonization. And there's a critical gap here, because we know that decarbonization is a really kind of like an up and coming concept. There is a lot of emphasis specifically in industrial decarbonization for things like chemical process heating and things of that nature. And the idea is that if you were to actually decarbonize these heavy energy intensive processes, you would at some point of time want to integrate with the conventional power system and the power grid. The problem comes when you are trying to actually schedule the power and optimize on the operations of both the power systems and the stakeholders in the decentralization context, because you'll not be able to do that without either parties not willing to kind of share information. So information sharing is basically the bedrock that is going to dictate whether your decarbonization strategy is successful or not. And that privacy aspect of data sharing is where our research gap basically is, that we are exploring, where a lot of data at the chemical plant level is private and a chemical stakeholder will not want to move that data. So that's where we are kind of proposing new methods. Next slide, please. So the idea basically is that we completely decouple, these concepts. So you're looking at like an operations model at the level of the plant, and then you have an operations model at the level of the power system. And both of these guys are talking to each other, sharing extremely kind of minimal information and trying to kind of solve the overall global problem. And this is actually coupled with some type of uncertainty quantification that we are using, like another decentralized paradigm called federated learning, to actually kind of capture these types of interdependencies. And that overall is our hope is that this research ends up promoting and facilitating industrial decarbonization, especially in for chemical process heating and in manufacturing in general. Next slide, please. So the next research theme that I'm actually looking at is, kind of like a segue from what we were looking at before in terms of like, building and developing new methods for AI and machine learning. Next slide. So like what I said before, the whole concept of operations optimization depends on being able to quantify uncertainty, right? And uncertainty comes from data. if you don't have data, you can't really quantify uncertainty because all your data is siloed across multiple different locations. So what do you do about it? If the bottleneck is in the aspect of data movement itself, and this is a common problem across multiple domains, right? Not just in energy, not just in supply chain, but in even in cybersecurity and all these other areas. So our idea here is basically, can we decentralize the training of an AI model itself that can, kind of achieve the same quality of, data-driven scenarios, but without the need to have the stakeholders move the data themselves, right? So that's the idea here. So next slide. So we propose this completely new paradigm called split VAEs. So VAEs are basically like, the gamut of like large language models and all that are coming up, but VAEs are actually very elementary and like a very primitive generative AI method. So we are basically looking at the idea that we decentralize the training of this complete, this machine learning model. And based on that, we can generate extremely high fidelity scenarios without the need to move data, right? So that's basically the critical piece here. So you can see that we achieve the same statistical parity as what you would have achieved if you moved all the data from all the stakeholders in areas like supply chain, in areas like power, in areas like carbon emissions planning, but without the need to have them actually physically move that data itself. So we see like a reduction of 6 times in terms of the data bandwidth costs, in terms of latency, but you're still achieving the same statistical parity. And I'm really happy to say that this paper was selected as a finalist for best student paper competition at IISc. And we're really excited about this work. And I really think that this can really make an impact at the level of the organization itself. Next slide, please. Can we move on to the next slide? So the other aspect is, having decentralization, to do battery and prognosis. This is something that I'm working with Argonne National Labs together with Murat from Wayne State University. So we're collaborating on this project where instead of moving the data, we are basically moving the model to where the data resides. And then the training happens and it gets aggregated at the central level. So we are basically also kind of working on this, and I'm really happy to say that we are kind of just submitted this paper to Cell Reports journal, and we are waiting to hear back on this as well. Next slide, please. So the last part of my talk is basically going to be on the third pillar of my research, which is basically cloudless compute framework. And this is basically a pain point that I've kind of observed from a lot of people who are doing analytics at the level of the enterprise and at the level of the organization itself. Where you have geographically distributed, enterprise locations, be there, facilities or, factories or sites that are located at a continent scale or like, even at an internet scale, right? So we've built some software for achieving decentralization in that domain. And then we can discuss a little bit more on that. Can we go to the next slide? So those of you who have done any type of cloud related analytics, you would know that like it all depends on being able to set up a pipeline that streams all your data to the cloud, right? And that's where your data scientists will start processing the data and kind of creating insights, whether it is analytics insights or whether it's simple KPIs. You are basically beholden to the cloud, right? So what ends up happening is that you actually have like cost overruns. A lot of times you basically are paying a recurring cost for making, running the algorithms. You're facing latency problems because you have to stream all that data. You can't do anything, without the data streaming. And then there is a privacy aspect. If sometimes you might not want to share data between sites. So there's that. The other thing that is actually very underrated is that in order to just keep the show going, you are actually having, a ton of people, an army of people who are just dedicated to keep this pipeline running so that you get your analytics insights, on time, right? And we saw that these are kind of pain points. So we basically tried to kind of see if decentralization could help. And can we go to the next slide, please? One more click. So Can you click again? Yeah. So in this case, what we are basically saying is we have a decentralized approach where we basically have a sort of a compute fabric that is going to give you the same quality of insights as what you would get by moving all the data to the cloud. The only difference being that we are basically having some small degree of compute that is done in situ at each of these sites. And the insights are actually aggregated and collected across all these sites, right? And then anyone who is part of this chain can actually kind of take a look at it, and kind of diagnose, do any type of kind of outcome based use of the analytics insight. So you see like a reduction of cost, right? You can actually support this entire architecture with a staff of like up to 40% reduction. You're giving data privacy, and you're not incurring all the other overhead with respect to the architecture and the latency. And it works across geographically distributed enterprise locations and sites, with really minimal changes to your underlying hardware. And I'm really happy to report that we actually got a patent for this. Like, it has been granted just last month, and this is something that we have also been working on as well. Next slide, please. So the last thing that I want to leave you with is an open source framework that we just open sourced a few months back. That's basically the pretty much the same thing as what I was talking about earlier with decentralization, except that this is a hybrid edge cloud framework. It gives you the same quality. It's just that it is distributed. This is open source, and I'm really kind of looking forward to kind of testing this out in the real world. We've verified this. We've even presented this to NASA. There's some interest from there as well. But anything that we can do in the enterprise domain, if we can test out the research outcomes, I'd really be really kind of like, it's going to really help us kind of formulate our research path forward. And this is completely open source, and we are actively developing this project and working on this. So with that, I think I will kind of end my talk, and I'd like to kind of hear feedback from all of you, and any questions that you might have that I'd be happy to answer. Thank you. Next, maybe the next slide has my contact information.
Yeah.
Well, just as a quick feedback, I'm blown away. That was incredibly impressive. And in 5 minutes, you just knocked my socks off. So well done. This is pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I would underscore how impressive this is. And one question that came up in my mind was where AI fits into your analysis and potential use.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Like, because we've heard of AI primarily in kind of like text generation and large language modeling and those types of applications. But I think it's going to be a big beast in the enterprise domain. I think nobody has cracked that problem, at least not to my knowledge yet, right? So how do you take advantage of all the data that you collect at the organization level, right? Whether it is process data, whether it is time series data, whether it is maintenance records, how do you process all of that, and how do you kind of give some useful insight to the stakeholder, whether it is the CTO level or basically at the manager level at a plant? That, I think, is going to be really critical. And a critical piece of that puzzle is in being able to work with where the data lives, as opposed to mandating the fact that the data has to move in order to get the insight. So that's where AI fits into our research agenda, where we are saying that you keep your data where it is. You don't need to move the data. We are going to have models come to you. They will train locally with the data that is there. They're going to glean the insights, and they're going to aggregate across all of the different locations. And that's basically what like research team 2 is trying to do, and generating these spatiotemporally correlated, very high fidelity scenarios purely from a very elementary AI model. And we have plans to kind of scale it up to more complex AI models in the same spirit.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
I'll add, if I may, I think part of the goal is really using this as a starting point for a conversation. It's probably very hard to grasp all the details, but I would encourage if your company or you're personally interested in this, have a follow-up conversation with Paratosh. And the goal for, Stacy and I, we talk about going forward, we'll do this mid-year review. And every time I will ask a different group of faculty to talk about their research and their teaching, and then basically anything they want to share so that we can start understanding in terms of research, in terms of other area as well, right? Because in order to work together, it's not just research. You have to get to know that person at a personal level and establish the trust. So I'll just make that comment. If you're interested, get in touch with Paratosh, and we don't bite. We're very happy and eager to talk. And Stacy knows about it. I enjoy talking, and I will go to your way if you are open and open for that conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, great.
I'm
Thank you
happy
so much.
to just happy to give like any type of demo with respect to our open source project. I'm really looking forward to, if we can find a use case or a pain point where we can kind of see the outcome of our research. I'd be more than happy to kind of talk to you. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so we'll go to our next faculty presentation. Dr. Liu is on the phone.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Perfect, there you are.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself and present my work. So my name is Chen Liu, and I'm currently a fifth-year assistant professor in IEM. And for my research, so it's mainly focused on the data science, and so it's empowered smart engineering system. Okay, so so next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah, so just a brief more details about myself. So I got my PhD from Virginia Tech, so with a master degree in statistics, and so I joined the OSU at in 2019, and I teach some undergraduate courses and also graduate courses. So for the undergraduate courses, so I teach the data analytics related courses, and also the quality control, design of experiments, and some others. And so one I highlight here is so the courses I developed here, and the one with the underline is so the core courses I redesigned for improvement. And I also for my research I also have a website here, and the name of my lab is called STARS Lab for Smart Technology and Analytics Research Lab. Next slide, please. Yeah, and I also want to spend some time to introduce our team, and so I think so our team has a very good students, and as for now, so I advised in total 5 PhD students, and 2 of them has graduated, and 4 master's thesis students, 2 of them has graduated, and also so I'm very proud to say actually both of them received the ISE Graduate Research Award, only 1 award per year from ISE. Yeah, and so one student is kind of still ongoing, and 1 current student, and my lab also has several undergraduate students, and so I'm also very honored to receive the support from the federal agencies and also the state agencies. So next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah, and overall for my research, the ultimate goal is try to maximize the value of data in the real world engineering systems and make the system smart. Or in another word, we could say our goal is to try to learn the knowledge from the data. Okay, so I mean to convert the numbers to the real knowledge for us, and to realize this, so our solution is to develop and also establish a solution by engineering aware data science. Okay, and for some active topics, so in my lab, so here just so some topics so that we are currently working on, particularly so it includes currently so very popular and emerging generative AI models, and we so our goal is to leverage them to advance the engineering systems. So for example, specifically like so the generative model could help us to ensure the data quality through the data augmentation, missing data imputation, so which are commonly happen in the real world engineering systems. And it's a generative model can also help us to solve some challenging optimization problems. So, from the AI perspective, and we also leverage the generative model to implement the rapid inverse design, so which could be helped to advance some areas like the swap design and also the material design. And also like the knowledge sharing among the units in the complex engineering systems, for example, in the cyber-enabled manufacturing system and also the healthcare systems. And besides that, I also so there's some work regarding the blockchain applications to protect the data security. So next slide, please. Yeah, and also I want to just to talk about a little bit more details about my ongoing work. So I mean, so in terms of three aspects. The first one is regarding the to learn the underlying distribution for the high dimensional data to advance the predictive modeling, because predictive model is so always plays a very critical role and also very useful in the engineering systems. And one of the critical challenges, data we have are always high dimensional, and also the underlying distributions are sometimes so highly nonlinear. So our goal is to capture such complex or highly nonlinear underlying distributions from data, and thereby help us to achieve more accurate predictive modeling. So to do this, so our contribution, so this area is, as I just mentioned in the previous slides, to advance the emerging generative AI models, which can help us to achieve more effective and efficient data augmentation or imputation. By addressing that data quality issues, the performance of the predictive model can be potentially better. And also to better learn the underlying distribution, we also try to tailor effective representation learning. Here's the term representation learning, so means actually to find a good or accurate low-dimensional representation for the high-dimensional data without loss of significant information. And and meanwhile, so such representation learning can also help, I mean, simultaneously can also reduce unnecessary noise and to reduce some interference for the predictive modeling. And so meanwhile, first of all, the modeling can be more efficient, and meanwhile, it can also be more accurate. And regarding the application, so we leverage our proposed methodologies in both healthcare applications like the EHR data analytics or the biomedical image analytics, and also in the smart manufacturing system, particularly in the 3D printing systems. So next slide, please. Yeah, and another topic is regarding the knowledge sharing in the in the engineering systems. So now actually, so in the area of the IoT, so there's a nature for all the trend to make the system connected. For example, we hope so for different machines or units, so they could help with so they could collaborate and help with each other. And also naturally there might be some concerns regarding like the privacy or security. So as Paratosh he just talked, and so in the manufacturing system we also have this concern about this, and particularly in the cyber-enabled manufacturing. So if the data are directly shared, there might be some some problems. So our thought is instead of sharing the data, how about to enable the knowledge sharing instead of the direct data sharing? So motivated by this, then we proposed some AI-enabled knowledge sharing mechanism for the connected system. So under our developed framework, for different units and machines, they don't have to share the data directly, and instead through the AI framework, so they will share the knowledge they have to help with each other to improve their model performance. And meanwhile, by leveraging the strengths of the blockchain structure, so we could also directly protect the security of the data. I mean, to prevent the potential malicious tampering and also the unauthorized access. Next slide, please. Yeah, and the last one, so I'm going to talk is about the rapid inverse design. Currently, the inverse design actually has been popular in many areas, but in both the manufacturing and also the biometric area. So here I just put the two examples here. So first is about the product design. So with the expected behavior, how to have an appropriate design. So that's an inverse problem. So with the outcome, how to predict our input, and to do this, actually, so if we just want to have an inverse forward model, then sometimes it will be very complicated. For example, the forward problem could be solved by like a PDE model. So we should, so if we want to have an inverse formula, so that would be very complicated. And mathematically, it will be very difficult. But fortunately, as an engineer, we feel like we have data, and how about to use data analysis or data science to understand this inverse correlation. And so that's so that we do it. So we use the data and also the data analytics to understand such inverse relationship and build the inverse model. And we did some case studies in the material design and also the interior design for the lung disease treatment. And our preliminary results are also promising, and so we are currently we're still working on this, and hopefully we will have for better results in the future. Yep. Thank you so much. Yep. Thank you.
All right. Do we have questions?
I have a question. I've worked on these inhaler designs for AstraZeneca and for Orion, both European companies dealing in inhalation therapy product. And while the inhaler and the stream of the active pharmaceutical is very important, it's also very much tied to the density and the molecular weight of those particles. And a big breakthrough at the University of Helsinki came in terms of what they call nanonization of the particles. And that's reducing the particle size to smaller and smaller content so they actually deliver more effectively in the lungs. So it didn't seem from your model that you're actually including the human element in the inhalation design, that you're just looking at basically the plastic parts. How are you incorporating the human element of the lung structure and the particle side of the actual delivery of API?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so in our work, we actually consider that. So so we have a collaborator in the chemical engineering. Actually, so they did CFD simulation. I mean to understand so this dynamics, and they have also validated the model in the real experiments. So and for us, so we use their validated simulation data and try to establish the inverse model.
Okay. Have you been able to do any in vitro studies?
So I was not involved in this, and but we have the collaborators in so who are the experts in this area. So we for this we will work. We also collaborate with OU Health Center, and so they have lab, and so they did some studies on this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
So I'll add that, as you can see, Dr. Liu's, his work is very diverse, and what's unique about his work is that it's not just the data part, it's sort of the physics informed data analytics. So his background include manufacturing and some other area that's really incorporate the domain, and he has worked with industry projects as well as very academic focused project. So I just encourage to interact with him, offline if there's interest. But thank you, Greg, for the question.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Liu. Appreciate that. Okay. And then next, Dr. Wang.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. So let me get started. My name is Li Wang. I'm a professor in the IEM, and I'm also very proud to hold the Ken Lin Case endowed chair position. I joined the department in fall of 2023 last year. So I've been here for about 2 semesters, less than a year. So if you move on to the next slide, I'm going to report my responsibilities in teaching and research and services. So on the teaching side, last semester and this current semester, I have been teaching IEM 3503 engineering economic analysis. So we had very big classes, 65 and 83 students. That's actually 2 sections combined. We are using the textbook fundamentals of engineering economic analysis. You can see some familiar names co-authored by Dr. Ken Case and Dr. David Brad. And we also try to cover some topics outside the textbook. So for example, I realize it is very important for students to learn about mortgages and stocks and options. So I introduced these topics to the course, and the feedback I got was they really appreciate this opportunity to learn about mortgages, so that when they are buying their first home, they are already knowledgeable about how mortgages work. And in the fall semester of this year, I plan to teach IEM 5013, that's Introduction to Optimization. And one of the things I like to do in my class is to introduce class competition. So this is based on my prior experience. So one year I design a new algorithm. I published the algorithm in a very top journal. I was very proud of my algorithm. And then in the class I was teaching, I posed the problem as a class competition. I challenged all my students to design new algorithms and try to beat my algorithm. And to my surprise, the winner of the competition did actually a lot better than my published algorithm. So I was very proud of my students. They are really a lot smarter than I am. So this time I'm going to see this again. I'm going to do this again. I'm expecting that OSU students to outsmart myself. And in terms of the PhD students, I'm working with, I think I'm working with 3 students for now, 2 transfer from Iowa State with me last semester, and the 1 new student I recruited this semester. And I'm also expecting 3 new students joining in the fall semester. And also, Guiping, I really want to improve the not only quantity but also quality of PhD applicants and also including master's applicants. So we are planning to travel around Europe and Asia, and including China and Japan, many countries to do recruitment. So what we realize is that Oklahoma State is like a hidden gem. So it's a well-kept secret. So if people know about the amazing research, the opportunities we have here, they would be very excited to join us. But the problem is that they don't know what we are doing. They don't know we existed. So we are going to go out and tell people about the amazing things we're doing, and hopefully we will attract more applicants. And next slide, please. So on my research is focusing on physiology-based digital twin model. I will give this example using corn. So if you look at on the left-hand side, we have the genotype and environment. Genotype is the type of seed where we're growing, and the environment is like the temperature, precipitation, sunlight, CO2, humidity, and everything else. And on the right-hand side, we have the phenotype, which may be the plant height or most commonly the yield. So the question is, how does nature give us the yield from the genotype and the environment? So nature is a very complex system. So what we do is to build that complex system based on physiology to explain how nature give us the phenotype based on the genotype, environment, and their very complex, complicated interactions. If you look at the literature, there are mainly 2 types of modeling approaches. One type is heavily based on the experiments. They do a lot of experiments to understand nature, but the problem is that it's very labor intensive, time consuming, and very, very resource intensive, and is not able to utilize historical data. The other modeling approach is the machine learning, artificial intelligence, is very efficient in terms of extracting data, extracting information from historical data. But the problem is what we see from a large language models such as ChatGPT and a lot of models. You see, sometimes they make sense, sometimes they completely don't make sense. When they hallucinate, when they don't make sense, it's very hard to figure out exactly what's causing the problem, because the whole model is a big black box. What we do is kind of a hybrid model that's integrating physiology and also utilizing the cutting edge machine learning, artificial intelligence. I won't go too much into the detail, but you can see the model is not a black box model. It is integrating the physiology processes such as the photosynthesis, the stomata opening and closing, respiration process, transpiration, circadian rhythm, phenology clock, biotic and abiotic stress, and also the growth in different organs. So this model has been quite successful. And after I joined Oklahoma State, I have been working with the local collaborators trying to build additional models on grapes and oranges and Bermuda grass and intermediates. wheatgrass and sorghum, mealworm and chickens. So this is a very exciting area of collaboration. And if the TCA members have additional interest in developing a new digital twin model for some new crops or animals or even human beings, I'll be more than happy to talk more. Please move on to the next slide. Okay, so I think this is my last slide talking about my services. So one thing I have done is, as Guiping mentioned, the exploratory research program. This is to provide seed funding to support graduate students working with faculty members to explore new research collaboration opportunities. At the end of the support, we expect the faculty members to work with students to submit external proposal. And then second is the undergraduate research assistant. I heard from so many faculty and students that they want to work together. This especially undergraduate students. Some of them are very talented. They want to work in research, but there was not a lot of opportunity. So now Guiping is using her endowed chair funding to support students. We are paying students $15 per hour up to 100 hours per semester. So and from the symposium last Friday, we saw some amazing research projects coming out of this program. And I got some comments from other judges, other faculty from other departments. They're saying the graduate posters are amazing, but what's more amazing is the undergraduate research. Some of them are as high quality as some of the graduate posters. So that was really a nice thing, nice feedback to hear. And also, so for I don't know how many of you are keeping track of the news. We had our first IEM student research symposium last week, and so it's not only undergraduate but also graduate. We had more than 100, actually, yes, a lot more than 100 participants, well, including the audience. So you can see the picture, everybody was smiling, and Dr. Ken Case was also there. And something I forgot to put on the slide is I'm also a co-director of a center of data analytics. So we are trying to organize similar symposium in the area of data analytics. This is not only in the seat, but also Spears School and also maybe some other colleges. Another thing, if you look at the chat communication between Tom and Jennifer and others, so the idea of implementation, I think is a great idea, but I want to point out the time constraint of one semester or 1 semester of senior design or even undergraduate research program, which is 10 weeks, is really not sufficient to understand the problem, do the research, and then do the implementation. So if you look at the senior design, there's kind of the weekly reporting requirements. So students actually spend a lot of time to finish their documentation. So that's very time consuming. And also some of the challenges, real world problems require a little bit higher expertise. So undergraduate students may not have all the expertise. So it may be necessary to include graduate students or even faculty members. So I'm thinking if necessary, we can engage in some conversation and talk about research grants, project opportunities that include not only undergraduate students and graduate students and faculty. I think then we can talk about some serious in-depth collaboration and not only methodological contribution, but also implementation and make a real impact. So that's all the information I have, and I'm open to questions.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yes,
Professor Wang, have you investigated possibility of doing collaboration with Monsanto? About 20 years ago, we were doing genome isolation for corn genes. There was something like 50,000 corn genes, and then we automated the process. They went into machine learning, AI techniques, and so forth to do the genome isolation problem. And they also were conducting large-scale experimental designs, statistical experimental designs about planting and growing and all these different engagement processes. I'm pretty much detached from them and I don't really know anybody in the field, but it seems like this would be a perfect marriage between the work that you're doing and an industrial application.
Thank you for a question, Greg. I have some students working for Monsanto, and I do not have too much interaction with Monsanto, but I did have a lot of interactions with other companies such as Syngenta and the BASF and Corteva and Bayer and others. So from my experience, they really are interested in my research, but once you want to get into more detailed collaboration, they are very protective in terms of sharing data. So if they don't want to share data, they just want to get what the ideas we have, and they want to try things in-house. That's not going to be very helpful. So what I'm currently doing, this may not be part of the presentation, is that I'm after more than 15-16 years of trying to work with industry and being pushed out of their inner circle, and they don't want to share data with me. I'm saying I'm tired of that. I'm starting my own company. I'm reaching out to my own clients. Now I'm working with my own clients. I have access to the first-hand data. I'm testing my own digital twin model, so I'm a lot happier that way.
Understood.
Okay, Dan, you have a question?
Yes, Stacy, thank you. It's more of a comment rather than a question. I just wanted to say I'm really excited to see all the work being done by the faculty and bringing Oklahoma State IE department to the next level, so to say. And for the last 5 years, I've been working here in the Boston area with the businesses that originate out of MIT. And I have to say the range and the type of activities you're engaged in is really as good as what I've seen at MIT. So congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, Tom, do you have a question?
Yeah, a quick question, not a question, but a comment. Thank you for giving me the time. With being and faculty, I think it might be helpful to explore the idea of quarterly sending out a list of the IEM research projects to give TCA not only an idea of what's going on, but to stimulate their thinking on how they might be able to translate some of that research into student projects for their companies and make this collaboration and communication between the faculty and the TCA members a more current activity.
Tom, I think that's a great idea. I think the newsletter, we can probably leverage that. And I will try to include, because sometimes I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you're tired of my emails on a monthly basis. So I sometimes hesitate, what should I put in there? So, now that I get permission to share, I'm going to work with the faculty. There are a few ways that I can think of right away. Like maybe we can do faculty spotlight, or just like on a periodic basis, we can share more information about their expertise and research.
I wouldn't want to make it a labor-intensive effort so that it's fancy graphics and so forth, but something that's a little more off of the top of the desk, where you fire out a listing of the projects with a very 3-sentence synopsis of what it's about, and just kind of keep that flashing communication coming at the TCA members.
Okay. We can definitely try different ways, and then just like our IEM philosophy is all about continuous improvement, right? So if you see something that you like to see more, just let me know. If you say, well, this is not working out, then just also let me know. I know we have a couple minutes. I want to kind of respond to Greg a little bit. I know Lisa, well, of course, I'm biased and also have conflict interest. Lisa is my husband, but also we're both professional. He doesn't report to me; he reports to the dean's office. Just be very clear. But one thing I want to say to Greg is that in our collaboration, I'm collaborating with Liz on that project. It's a USDA supported project, and Naumo Center is part of Bayer. And 2 of my PhD students actually end up working for Bayer. So we are seeing the impact. I think there are potential, and depending on who you interact with, I think there are different ways we can make it work. But you made a very good point about, interact with company on a more direct basis. Another quick comment I want to make, Lisa, you did not mention about the breadth of your research. I think he focused on the digital twin, but over his career, he has been working on energy-related work and manufacturing and supply chain related work. So I think that is in a way symbolizing the IEM breadth of research and research activities. And on this slide, the bottom picture here it's the ending picture we take after we hand out the awards and prizes. And this is only a subset of the student and participants. I encourage you to, in the future, consider plugging and joining and providing input on how we can improve the experience of our undergraduate as well as graduate students. And this is really increase the IEM visibility on campus. And also I can use this to share with the broader community. So just want to comment on that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that presentation. I appreciate it. All right. And last but not least, we have one more faculty presentation. I believe she's on here. There you are. Okay, so take it away. Wonderful.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Dr. Pratima Saravanan. So I'm the newest faculty here because I joined 2 months after Dr. Hu and Dr. Wang. So, and this is my very first TCA meeting. So I absolutely don't know what to expect, but I'm here. So, so my lab's name is called Cognitive Performance Lab. And currently there are like 2 PhD students and a master student and army of undergrads. So I have like 5 undergrads working with me, and they are like absolutely amazing. And my lab website is listed here. So it's the coplab.org. So if you guys have some time, like, you can like go and look at like all the work we have been doing. Next slide, please.
So you can put it in a small copy.
So I just want to like start with some of my background and what I have been doing. So I got my bachelor's in biomedical engineering in 2015 in India. So my university's PSG College of Technology. Then there I was like working on a project on artificial heart, and which brought me to the US because like Penn State, they had their own artificial heart. So I was fortunate enough to get an research position there. So I did my master's in bioengineering at Penn State. And next one, please. And that's when I figured out I'm not a true biomedical engineer, but I have always been an industrial engineer by heart. Because like, it's not just, sitting in a lab, it doesn't like always give me that comfort feeling. I like talking with people and, actually working with them. So I switched my major. So I got another master's in industrial engineering in 2020, along with a PhD in industrial engineering in 2021. Next, please. So as soon as I graduated, I was again fortunate enough to get a postdoctoral fellowship at Houston Methodist. So I was a postdoc there for a couple of years. Next, please. So while I was working as a postdoctoral fellow, I was also working as a lecturer at Texas A&M. Why do just one job if we can like manage our time efficiently to do 2? We are industrial engineers, so efficiency is in our blood. And I joined last fall at Oklahoma State University as an assistant professor. So it's been a great time for me, and I have been like truly enjoying working here with all my colleagues and everyone. So next slide, please. So I just want to like talk a little bit about my lab and what exactly we do. So again, like, at Cognitive Performance Lab, which was just established in August of 2023, we are like, still babies, and we are like still trying to like figure things out. So we try to like study the intricate relationship between human cognition and performance across different disciplines. So this includes like surgeons and firefighters and anyone, like, people working in any professions who have, who do mentally demanding jobs, and we just want to like, make their experience better and make the job as efficient as possible. So we explore behavioral traits such as attention, problem solving, decision making, stress, situational awareness, and whatnot. And we try to like study humans, and we design solutions in a way that enhances their cognitive function and the overall outcome. At present, like, our projects that focuses on education, healthcare, firefighting, and rural well-being. So the methodology itself that we apply in our lab is a combination of quantitative methods and qualitative methods. So since I do human factors research, and I want to see like, what is best for the humans. And one thing that all humans in common, they do the best is talk. So we generate like lots of qualitative data. So I can like ask someone, hey, on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you feel today? They might say 4, they might say 3, or they might say 5. But how do I know, like, why they say 4 or why they say 5? So that is something like, that only the qualitative data can answer. So I use like lots of qualitative methods like interviews, focus groups, surveys, and ethnographic approach. So in ethnographic, we just like go and observe participants. For example, like in firefighters, we just like go to the fire department and just watch them, like, what exactly they do. And we also use lots of other quantitative methods. For example, like we have a state-of-the-art smartwatch. So it's called Empactica Embrace Plus. So it captures like all their physiological data. So using the physiological data like heart rate, electrodermal activity, stress, and skin temperature, we can see like, are they like really stressed? So what exactly is going on? So somebody might be like really stressed, but they won't be doing something very physically intensive. But they might be like doing some work that is like, extremely cognitively intensive. So maybe like, that specific job might increase their stress level. And I also use lots of behavioral data like reaction time, processing speed, and how they make decisions. And as engineers, we love data, which means like we must use statistical approaches and machine learning. So I use like lots of Markovian models in my research because it can like help us with seeing how people like actually make decisions. So right now, can you move on to the next slide, Stacy? Thank you. So I have listed a few projects that my team is currently working on. So the first project is decision fatigue of humans during crisis. So this is a project that one of my grad students, he's working for his dissertation. So an average adult makes 38,000 to 42,000 decisions per day. It's like an average adult. Then think of like people who are, like constantly faced with crisis. For example, like clinicians in emergency departments, firefighters, or any first responders. They have to make lots of critical decisions, and it has to be quick, and they might be working longer shifts. So we want to see like how their decision fatigue affects their decision. Like at what point do they get decision fatigues? So for this specific research, we are collaborating with the OKC Fire Department as well as with Fire Protection and Safety Technology at OSU. And we received a pilot grant for this project from the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, aka NIOSH. And the second project is studying the influence of physical fatigue on cognitive workload. And again, like, this also like goes back to first responders, because like sometimes they have to like do lots of thinking, and they have to make lots of decisions, and they have to be aware of what is happening in their surroundings. So the task itself is like cognitively exhaustive. But the bad thing is that they are also physically exhausted. They might be like working longer hours. I don't know how many of you guys remember the Hawaii wildfires that just happened. So they were like unable to like actually address the fire because the people have been like working for longer hours, and they are physically tired, and they couldn't make the best decisions at that specific time. So for this project, we are like collaborating with another faculty in MAE, Dr. Jerome Hussel. So what we do is like we make our subjects do some cognitive tasks and make them run on the treadmill. So that is my undergraduate student who's running on the treadmill. I made him run for like 15-20 minutes, which I'm not like really proud of. But that's a part and pack of like the research that we do. So we collected like his physiological data, not just him, like many other participants, and we saw like how just the physical workload affected their stress levels and, what was their cognitive workload before the physical fatigue and after the physical fatigue. And what we found was that the physical fatigue itself had lots of implications on the cognitive task that they did after that. And the third project is we are trying to develop methods to steady skill acquisition of surgeons. Another thing I have to add is we are also trying to see how pilots also acquire their skills. So far there has been studies on skill acquisition, but they either focus just on the cognitive skill, how people think, for example, novice versus expert. So we know there are these two categories, but nobody knows how novice they actually transform into an expert and what actually happens. And we try to see their cognitive skills as well as their motor skills. And right now we are working with both pilots and surgeons. So I have an active collaboration with mechanical and aerospace engineering department. And recently we also established some collaboration with the Center for Health Sciences of OSU, where we have been working on medical simulators. So we recruit some students and make them work on the simulators and actually see as a student, how do they perform a surgery on the simulator? How does a resident use the same simulator? So given the same task, how do they perform it in a different way? So the big goal of this project is to in the end, we want to develop a digital twin of experts, meaning that there shouldn't be an expert staying with the a novice to always train them. Instead, there is a digital twin, and using the digital twin, anyone can get trained. And we think it is going to be transformational in developing countries as well as in rural places in Oklahoma and everywhere throughout the US. Next slide, please. And our another project is to study the effect of AI on the cognitive workload of engineering students. As a professor, I can say that students use AI a lot. It has become like a calculator for them right now, specifically large language models like ChatGPT. So everyone uses ChatGPT all the time. So currently, we are trying to see how how the attitude of student varies when they are asked to perform something, any engineering assignment or something, and people also have an opportunity to use ChatGPT. So does that change the way they think? So what we have is we build a system and it just mimics an engineering assignment. So students are asked to solve some mathematical questions, which include some differential calculus and some functions, and they have to write some Python codes, as well as they have some grammatical questions as well. And the students are also provided with ChatGPT. So we are just seeing that, if they know that they have access to ChatGPT, do they just directly default to ChatGPT, or do they actually think at all before they reach out for help with the AI? So what we found was that student who never use ChatGPT, they perform better than student who use ChatGPT the most. So, which was funny, they spent more time on AI than on the actual problem itself. And they still didn't do a good job of answering everything. So, whereas, whoever did the very best, spent very little time on ChatGPT. They seeked help, but they didn't completely trust whatever the ChatGPT told them to. And again, we are in we are just conducting some pilot studies on this. So we hope over the summer and in fall, we'll be getting more data on this project. And ever since I moved to OSU, because we have a land grant mission, so some of my projects, it also focuses on community performance. So which I have not done in the past, but it's been really interesting, working for a community. So recently, our team, we got a seed grant called Inspire. So using that grant, we are trying to see how the investigate the efficacy of community health programs. So there are lots of programs being executed in different counties, across the US and specifically in Oklahoma. So we are trying to see what actually causes so So we are like trying to see what exactly like causes an improvement of a community program. So there are like some programs that do better than the others. So we are like trying to exactly find out what exactly like causes that. And we are like trying to study both urban and rural communities. So for this project, I collaborate with people in nutrition sciences and in kinesiology. And the final project is something that I have been like working with Our Daily Bread. I don't know if you guys are aware of Our Daily Bread. So they are non-profit people, and they have like food and everything for people like who are below the poverty line. So we have been like working with them just to like develop interventions to mitigate pandemic-related parenting challenges. So there were like kids who were born during the pandemic, and parenting them has been like difficult for parents. So we are just trying to see like how we can like better help them. Next slide, please. So this is a few of the projects that I'm currently working on, and I'm still like exploring more projects. And it's been an amazing year being here in this department. So if you have any questions, I would like love to answer.
And I have to say, as Pratima is the newest member of the faculty, she has done a wonderful job. She's already leading a few of the efforts. She's one of the 3 human factors person, and then she is people in the faculty, and then she is established a local human factors and economic society local chapter to promote and engage more student activity. So wonderful job.
Thank you.
I have one question. Obviously, you're doing incredibly important work. I mean, obviously, we all want our surgeons and pilots and firefighters to be at the top of their game. But there's a lot of us out here in industry, manufacturing, retail, so forth, in which you have people who are working on an assembly line in a repetitive standpoint where they're not really having to be engaged mentally as perhaps a firefighter or a doctor. And that's, to me, one of the biggest challenges for management is to keep the person who's putting, assembly line on the COVID vaccine or rivets on the Boeing airplane or the components of a valve that goes into the airplane is high quality. So have we done much work on the flip side of that coin, where the stress is a different kind of stress? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I totally agree with you, and I kind of like teach all this in the human factors course that I teach like every fall. So we kind of like touch base on all these things, like when people are working in an assembly line, sometimes like they do something very repetitive, and eventually like they might get bored, and that boredom itself can cause stress to them. So we like work on like making some techniques that can actually like keep them engaged with what they are doing, and how frequently like they should be given breaks so that like they don't feel fatigued when they're like coming back again. Like that can also like cause serious things, right? Like for example, like they are fixing an airplane, and the technician might be like really stressed that day, and they might just make a small fault, and it can like lead to some big errors. So we have been in that course itself, we see how those things can be prevented. I don't know if I answered your question.
Okay, great. Tom, you had a question or a comment?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Yep, thank you. I don't know whether this falls within your domain of research, but I'm constantly curious about what drives people in the commercial business environment to choose unions over continuing to operate as individuals within the enterprise. So I don't know, again, I don't know whether that fits within your domain of research or not, but that's an ongoing curiosity of mine.
It just gave me a good research topic, Tom. So yeah, this is amazing. Like recently, like I was approached by an seat advisor asking me like he wants to know why certain students like they want to be parts of groups, for example, like any other Greek society or just any society in college, like whereas like other students they prefer not to. I think like this is very similar to like what you're saying. So yeah, so this definitely like falls within my research interest, and I would like love to look into this more.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the group? All right, well, thank you again for presenting. Great job. We are going to take a quick 10-minute bio break. Let everyone get up and stretch, maybe get something to drink. We will start again in 10 minutes. So let's say 5 minutes till the hour. So I'm in Central Time, so it'd be 10:55 for me. Okay, see you all back in 10 minutes. Okay, about 2 more minutes and we'll get started. If you could just put your cameras on so I know you're back in your seats, that'd be great. Okay, so I have 10:55. We're going to transition to our TCA committee updates. Phil, are you on? So we're going to start with our Center of Excellence Committee, and our chair for that is Phil Farrington. Hopefully Phil's back with us. Phil, are you there? Not seeing him yet. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead to our next committee report. We can catch back up with Phil when he joins. So I'm going to report out for our Career Opportunities Committee. The primary areas of focus for this committee are our mentoring program and our career webinars. The chair of this has been in transition this past semester, and so we are currently looking for someone to step up and chair the committee. Lefa Swim was our past chair, and she did a fantastic job of creating structure. So if any of you are interested and are passionate in this area, would love to have you. We do have a wonderful group of volunteers for this committee ready to go. So that's definitely something we're focused on. Regarding what's been happening in this area this past semester, even though we haven't had a chair and haven't been as active in the mentoring program, for example, we have worked collaboratively with Jennifer Glenn, and she's worked across our faculty. So the webinars that actually many of our TCA members participated in on various careers within industrial engineering within their companies, those webinars are now being shown or used as assignments for a variety of our IEM classes. So senior design, intro to industrial engineering, project management, work design, ergonomics, and human performance are some of the classes that are utilizing those. So future plans, Even though we haven't done the one-on-one mentoring, we'd like to still get some topical mentoring circles for those students that would like mentoring. So we're going to get those set up. And also we'd like to develop more webinars, and these will be, you'll recall the previous ones were 2 companies with a moderator. We're just going to do 1 company or 1 rep at a time. And do them in a little bit shorter segments based on faculty recommendations. So we will be putting together more of those. If you are willing and want to do a webinar for your area of expertise in your company, just to give them a better idea of some of the breadth of careers they can have in IEM. For the time being, just let me know and I'll make sure we get you plugged into the schedule to do those. All right, and help me, any questions in this area? Help me watch for Phil coming back online too, so I can go back to him.
Stacy, Phil just messaged. I don't know whether he messaged everyone, just me. He's having technical issues and cannot turn on his mic.
Oh, okay. Okay. That explains it, because it looked like he was there. Let's see if we can.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of webinar, one thing I was talking to IAB in this advisory board was we want to do like very short, maybe 2 to 3 minutes or even shorter. I wouldn't say interview, but people talk about what they have been doing and using industrial engineering techniques. I don't know whether TCA is open for that. It can be very brief, and then we can post on social media so that people can see the breadth and diversity of the type of work you're actually using industrial engineering discipline, like real estate or oh, Tom, you have your hands up. Real estate, all kinds of problems, right? Yeah, Tom.
You're mute.
You're mute.
An idea just thought about, we're looking for information on our television screen, the rolling of what TCA is about, what it does. I'm wondering if some of these very short webinar bursts might be material that we could span on that television effort, so that students, as they come by, could kind of see that happening in reality. I mean, not overwhelm them, but just maybe something that's part of what we're trying to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea. Tom's talking to, in the IEM hallway, we have a TCA television, little corner. And so we're looking for materials to play on that TV. So that's what he was referring to. Okay. Well, let me go back, and I'm just going to do Phil's report for him.
Hey, Stacy, I'm here.
Oh, good. You got there.
Just as as you called, I couldn't turn on my mic or my camera. So I had to completely reboot. I'm sorry.
No worries. You're up.
All right. So I lead the Center of Excellence Committee, and we've kind of been in a holding pattern until Gui Ping joined as department chair. Our overarching mission is to help the graduates achieve a valued and rewarding career, and we look to build and nurture long-term relationships between the students, faculty, and the business partners in a variety of areas. So one of my overarching goals for this next year, as with Stacy, is to work on deepening our relationships with each other within the TCA and with the department. Next slide. Based on that, we have in talking to Gui Ping, we have identified 3 basic areas and activities for this next year. One is a review and updating of the ETM curriculum. Dr. Collins is in the process of benchmarking the ETM program against the top 25 engineering management programs in the country. Initially, he's going to meet with myself and Patricia Vega to review the findings of that and kind of determine next steps. And then we hope to put together a group of people, particularly individuals that are graduates of the ETM program, to review the curriculum and give their insights on the courses and are we missing any areas, anything that we should have, and look at what other programs are doing as well. The second area is to kind of update our list of members that are willing to present in IEM classes. Tom Britton graciously agreed to lead that effort, and he's in the process of reviewing that and identifying what we need to what members we have that are available to be able to present, willing to present, and then we're kind of coordinating that with the department. And then the last area is would be a collaborative effort with the IAB, looking at companies and organizations willing to support senior design projects and or undergraduate research experiences for the department. Steve Keister has graciously agreed to serve as the COE lead for that. And we're trying to determine who the appropriate IAB member would be to collaborate with. We think it's Mark Lewis, but we're still in the process of identifying that. So we're kicking those off and hope to have more detailed reports to you at the meeting in September. Any questions from anybody on these activities?
And I think on that last one, we've got a great start with a listing of all of the companies that came to recruit our graduates from the career fair that SEAT Student Council puts on. This was one of the largest they've had to date. So we've got a pretty good start of companies for that third bullet. Okay, thank you so much, Phil. I'm glad you got your
Thank you.
Your issues figured out. Okay, so Mike Bartlett leads our engagement, or formerly called fundraising committee. And this has been a very active group so far this semester. It's really to facilitate engagement with alumni and support IEM and OSU Foundation's fundraising efforts. So the focus areas for this committee, and Mike is sorry that he couldn't be with us today, but a lot of time, as Gui Ping mentioned, has been spent on the launch of our new IEM Giving Society. And so that's been a great effort. I appreciate all the hours and energy that people have put into that, because I think we're really excited on the launch of that. We're planning to host, we've done a few of these in the past and planning to continue that, meet and greet get-togethers with our IEM alums in various areas. You can see on the right, it's our heat map of our alums. So we've taken the data, and then we have a target list of places that we would like to focus. So initially, Dallas is on our list next, and then Tulsa or Oklahoma City. So we're targeting 2 this year. In addition to that, we realized that many IEM alums are not in a populous center where we might be having one of these face-to-face meet and greets. So we are going to host some virtual ones for those, that span. And we'll probably do it maybe in a couple different time zones as well to hit a variety of people, and Gui Ping is going to help host those, and then that will allow her to get to know our IEM alums, but also them to get to know her. So it's, again, just part of that engagement strategy that we have. And then the other group is the early career IEM leaders. So we're looking to form a steering team and then host some activities for them as well to really better engage them and keep them engaged as they graduate and move forward. And then finally, we assist with promotional efforts for the 1890 campaign and the end of year giving that happens from the foundation standpoint. So we provide support for those campaigns as well. Any questions on any of those activities? Okay. Next, we have Mitch is going to talk about the marketing committee.
Hey, friends, how is everyone? Good?
Great.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little update on what's been going on the marketing side of the equation. But before I do that, I actually wanted to talk about the career development mentoring committee deal. I just want to parlay on what Stacy said. You know, of all the things that we do in the academy, and when I talk to alumni, the number one thing that everybody says they love to do is interact with students. It is definitely the most rewarding, fulfilling activity. It kind of makes you forget that you're old and all those kinds of things. And so that and you reminisce about what it was like to be there and all those things. And so I would just tell you that it's mind-boggling to me that we don't have someone who wants to take the leadership role in that, because it is the most rewarding committee that we have to serve on, because you're in charge of the students, the interaction with the students. So Stacy needs your help. Don't be shy in raising your hand. Again, you've got a long group of people that are there to help you. All you are is conducting the choir. You don't even have to sing. So that's just my pitch on the Career Opportunities Committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Mitch.
On the marketing side of things, the first focus for us was to get a newsletter out. And since it was our first one, we had some learning to do, both on content as well as production. I am not a graphic design expert, and none of our committee members are either. And so we spent some time just trying to pull the content together and then get it into a polished state. And we got that out, and we got several positive pieces of feedback about that newsletter. And so I think the goal that Stacy and I have talked about is a couple times a year. And so we've published the first one, and I'm going to go to sleep for a while and forget that the newsletter even existed until I have to come up with the next one. The second thing that Guiping and I and our committee have talked about, because we went through the entire marketing plan that Dave Boyer and Gene Harmon and that marketing committee back in the 2017-2018 timeframe had developed, and her number one goal of all the things that we could attack with our marketing plan was to increase undergraduate recruitment. So we've had some initial discussions about how to do that. We met with Jennifer Glenn, talked to her a little bit about this approach. One of the ideas we had was to engage students that were studying, that had declared engineering, but yet not yet declared what discipline of engineering they're going to chase. And so they're taking like intro to engineering and just trying to get a flavor of what all the different disciplines. We wanted to figure out a way to engage that group of people effectively and just, you know, evangelize what IEM, what we do, what the value is. I'm sure a big section of those folks, even after they take that initial course, don't really understand. And it's when you put some faces and some actual career paths in front of them of what we do, it could be a compelling case on why you want to choose undergraduate IEM. Additionally, we're going to reach out to high schools and try to interact with counselors there to have an opportunity. You know, you guys are all in different places in the United States and in the world as well. And you know, the idea is to leverage you guys to reach out, to be able to, we will help facilitate a connection between a local high school and just go and and talk to kids that are they're STEM type kids about, hey, you might want to study engineering, and oh, by the way, you might want to study industrial engineering, and here's why. And then the third chunk are students that are in JUCOs right now, or other universities that are coming in, and try to figure out a way to engage them as they come in, and kind of steer them our direction. So we've had some initial conversations, but a couple of the priorities that the marketing committee has had has not allowed us to make a whole lot of progress on that. One being the newsletter, and two, the item on the last page here. And then the final thing is social media, or the other topic is social media. So historically, we've had a student from the marketing school as a intern that would work in tandem with both the marketing committee as well as the IEM team. Guiping, Sundaresh and Valerie worked with this person to develop content each week and push it out over Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and send out constant contact emails, those kinds of things. And so I put out a request right around spring break to the marketing school for an intern, and I haven't gotten any bites yet. So I guess I'm going to have to be a bigger pest to try to get them to publish this information in their classes. So the likelihood is that we'll probably get some activity going in the fall. Summer is a tough time to get any traction with an intern, a student intern. So, and again, the goal being to improve recruitment of both faculty and students, as well as improve our program ranking. And then the final item, well, I was just talking a little, this is actually, I just referred to this earlier, a couple of things that have consumed our time in the first few months of the year has been this newsletter, and then an inordinate amount of time spent working on a giving society that we are working on. So those two things have been where the effort's been, that both of which will be behind us soon, and we will get to focusing on the social media and the recruitment of undergraduate students. Any questions?
No, great job. So excited. Hopefully you guys saw the first newsletter, but great job getting that out. Okay, and next, normally Lee would be presenting this to you. He is cruising with his wife right now, so he is not with us today. But he did give me a detailed talking points for this, so I couldn't mess up his report. So this is our financial position right now. So our beginning balance September 1st was 57,600 and some. Our ending account balance as of March 31st of this year is 83,000. So we're in good financial shape right now. If we look at our status for the year between September 1st, 2023 and March 31st, we've had 64 members contribute TCA dues, with 7 providing matching funds, which is great. So if your company provides matching and you haven't matched your TCA dues, make sure and submit that, because that's, additional money we can use. So that represents an average of 487 gifted per active and sustaining member. So about a 35% premium over the requested 360 per year. The 64 members who did gift represent 75% of active and sustaining. So we do still have about 25% outstanding. that have not yet submitted their dues. So we do need more people to participate in that contribution. So our TCA scholarship endowment can reach our goal of 100,000. That's one of the things we're working towards. We're about 60,000 right now. So we're looking to increase that each year. We normally put a minimum of 10,000 in, but we always like to do more if possible. And then we also provide scholarships to several students, and we highlighted 3 of the students that we have provided scholarships this past year. Okay, let me see what else. And our 3 scholarship recipients were Ashley Parkey, who's a junior, Banner Penwell, a senior, and Hannah Hazelip, who is a senior. All 3 of them had pictures in our newsletter. And then the dues process starts again in October of 2024 for the 2025 dues. We are working on getting our automated system to be more in line with the timing, and because I think there was some confusion around the automated system. So we're going to be working on that this year because some of the notes sent out were confusing to our members. There's also a variety of ways people give. And so we're trying to work with you on that. I know in my case, I have a donor advised fund, so I don't go through the normal channels. Many of you have a variety of ways that you may give, and we can work with any of those. So don't hesitate to reach out to Lee for that. So I think in a nutshell, that's the report. Don't ask me any really, really difficult questions while Lee isn't here, but I could take them away and answer them if I can't answer, or I know Mitch has been working closely with Lee. I think Tom Britton had to drop off, but he was our former treasurer. And we will be looking for another treasurer when Lee's term is up this year. Okay, any questions about that? I'm hearing none. I'm seeing none. I'm looking for hands. You guys can feel free to just chime in. Okay, so Chad, do you want to go over our nominations committee?
Sure. Thank you, Stacy. Hi, everyone. It's great to be with y'all. My name is Chad Fry, and I'm the leader of the nominations committee. Our primary goal is to facilitate the annual nominating process for new TCA board members. Have a great group that I work with, and John Deming and John English. And just little side note, our bylaws do allow us to have 5 folks on the committee. So if you or if anyone you know who might be interested in joining, please reach out to me. Currently, so far, the early part of the year, our duties are on a seasonal hold. Our busy season is getting ready to kick off in May. So we'll start that process and have everything ready for the fall meeting. I would like to give a special shout out to Mitch. Past couple of years, he's been our technical advisor when it comes to the online voting tool. So we really appreciate his support.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that. Yes. And there's the 2 openings on our awesome team. So don't hesitate. Okay, the other one that we don't have a slide for is the membership committee. And Jim Poteet leads that. He was unable to be here today, but he sent in his report. So he wanted to shout out to Dan and Farhan, who have both joined the committee this year. So thank you guys for that service. And voting is now open we have 9 awesome nominees for 2024 TCA. And so you should have all received a note about that in your email. So make sure you have that. If you don't hesitate to reach out. We'll make sure you get that. A few people were having difficulty with two of the nominees, Stephanie Kreiner and Stephen Welch, I believe. And if that's the case for you, a lot of people have been able to get to it. Some of us, and I was one of them, are getting an error. So he will send you the PDFs. He will just email you the PDFs for those. So we want you to be able to see those before you vote. So just reach out to Jim. He'll send you those two PDFs to review. But please get your vote in. We really appreciate that. All the new members I'll contact them around June 1st. So, as soon as we close that out. The other activities that our membership team is working on is they're doing a membership data cleanup. There were some members that had missing data, erroneous emails, whatever it is. They're doing a scrub of all of our data. So if you know your information's not updated, feel free to just reach out to Jim and send him new. We have a lot of members, as they change jobs or things like that, they'll just send in their new contact information. So definitely let us know if something's changed. The other thing that Jim's been working on, which is great industrial engineering continuous improvement, is a standard operating procedure for the membership committee, including a RACI chart. So love the work they're doing there to just help future committees and future chairs of that group. So that's what our membership team has been up to. And I think that concludes all of our committee updates. Any comments, questions around any of those?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Being a new member, I would appreciate some guidelines on this voting process in terms of, do you guys have certain criteria that you actually use in evaluating and selecting on voting, or are we pretty much, if you're nominated, you got it? Help me out here a little bit.
So I would say it's not, everybody that has been nominated do not automatically get selected. They need to show a level of achievement in their industrial engineering career. So I think there is a level there. So it's not everyone. You have an option to vote yes or no for each one. The team, as part of their nomination, the membership team does scrub the list to try, and they've got all the records from all the way back that they're looking for. So we are looking for those that have excelled in the profession. So, and they have to have at least, and somebody can correct me, 15 years experience. So they can't be nominated if they haven't graduated at least, 15 years ago. So that's kind of the entry level criteria. And then as part of the nomination process that Jim sent out, he sent us, the list of all the eligible graduates for us to consider. And we were able to get 9 nominations this year. It's very difficult, I would say, to get nominations, because if you look at the form, you have to fill out quite a bit of information about them. So the best way to go about it is to know the person. If you know the person, know what they've done, graduated with them, have kept up with them. So we're really looking to all of our TCA members to cull the list and try to nominate the ones that they feel are worthy. What I found this year is, a lot of us that we've nominated the folks we knew in our graduating classes or have kept up with or can contact, but it complicates it because we're not able to ask them we have a process where you nominate them, but they don't know they're nominated, right? It's anonymous and all of that. So they don't know until after they're selected. And the thought process behind that was we didn't want them to be offended, or if they're not selected, you know, them to distance themselves. So we made that decision, but it does complicate when you're trying to get all that information about somebody without asking them for a resume, or so it's a lot of detective work in some cases trying to fill out the forms, as you'll see when you know read over them. Hopefully that gives you a bit more, and someone else can chime in too.
Stacy, do you mind if I chime in?
No, go ahead.
Can I share a document? I don't know.
Oh, good. I was hoping you would bring it up because my screen's already taking you, but I was like, if we can bring up the actual.
Yeah, so one thing, this gives me an opportunity to bring up the fact that we have out here a site that is for all members for the Cowboy Academy. And hopefully, I know most of the people on this call have been through the membership orientation, but there's a few that have not been through orientation. One of the things about orientation is it just talks about how the academy works, what we're all about, what we're trying to accomplish. We do have a site that you can go to. And on this site, under administrative committees, there's a documents which you can go find. And this contains, if I go to the top, this is the operating framework for the academy. And it talks about what members are what's expected of members to do and what they're encouraged to do. If you haven't read that, you probably should, since you're a member. And then it also goes on to talk about what is the criteria to be a member. This doesn't, John, I don't know that it directly answers your question about how do I decide whether to vote yes or no on a particular candidate. It does tell you, do they meet the minimum requirements to be an academy member? That it would tell you that. But ultimately, there is no, I don't believe there's any document that actually spells out, you know, what criteria beyond the minimum criteria that you should use to vote. It's really more of a, do you believe that they deserve to be recognized as someone, as an accomplished alumni who can contribute to the department, both with their knowledge and skill and effort, and also their financial contributions.
Well, and I think that statement number 2 really talks to it. We talked about the 15 years, but having a sustained and distinguished track record of leadership and accomplishment. That's really the bar, I guess, that we're trying to hit, John.
Well, you helped me a lot just in letting me know that they were not aware they were nominated, which I didn't know. Because I was like, I didn't want to say no and find out that they've been nominated and go, well, that wasn't very nice of them. So
yeah.
that's very helpful that you told me that, because I was not aware of that.
Okay, and Brian's got his hand up, which is good. Brian has led our committee in the past.
So I was just going to chime in from past experience. When the nominations chair sends out the call for nominations every year, there's a number of documents that are attached to that email that go out. And one of those documents is kind of a description of the kinds of things that should be considered when you're putting together a nomination for someone. So, John, if you look at the email that got sent out last year, there should be a document in there that kind of, at least in broad terms, talks about the kind of accomplishments for people we're looking for as new members.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Good. And Nancy, you have your hand up as well.
One more question.
Okay,
Mitch, did you send out the email for voting on new members?
No, Jim actually asked me if the academy had had an election buddy account. I said no. Sure. I have an election buddy account. I pay for it every time we send it out as just part of my contribution. And I said, I'm happy to conduct the election for you. And he said, nope, I'll do it myself. So he sent it out this time.
Do you know the timing of that? Because I'm pretty sure I didn't get it.
Yeah, it went out. Let me see if I can find it. But Stacy, go ahead and I'll just chime in when I find that email, or if someone else finds it.
And the voting, I believe it's through May 22nd, so you still have time if you haven't seen that to get that. Nancy, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, actually I did. Thank you, Stacy. It was a comment related to the requirements. Maybe I shouldn't even be on this call. I do not have a degree in industrial engineering from Oklahoma State. I didn't know if you wanted to broaden that to the engineering and technology management, or if you consider that one of those.
Yeah,
Because
engineering
that's how I got
technology management is considered, sorry, yes.
Okay, so something granted from the industrial engineering department, maybe is a.
Yes, that's a better description. And we are going to be looking at all of our bylaws again next year because we did them, you know, back at the beginning. So next year, one of our focus areas is to kind of go do a scrub now that we've been running for a while. And so we'll make sure that's clear. Thank you, Nancy, for bringing that up.
Didn't know, because most of my contacts are through that program. So if I was to nominate someone, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, if I was not an outlier, that wasn't actually.
No, you're definitely not. Like Patricia Vega last year, she is also through that program. I think several of our members. And so you might be a good candidate too, as we were talking about, you know, Phil's group, when they needed folks that have gone through that program to kind of look at some of the curriculum. That would be, you would probably be a great candidate for that, Phil. You need to take note of Nancy's.
Well, to what extent is this organization working with the MSETM program? Because I'm also on the advisory committee for that particular degree program. And that is one of the activities we do as part of that, is to look at their curriculum and try to find gaps related to what industry needs and tailor it. So, I mean, you could easily, I would think, leverage off that committee's work without redoing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're, Nancy, this is Phil Farrington. I'm leading that task group. We're basically providing support to Dr. Collins as he requested. And so he's working the benchmarking study. Then he was going to get together with Patricia and I for input from us. Then we were going to assemble a larger group, specifically of ETM graduates like yourself, to provide kind of a input to them on things that are missing. So I think we'll be coordinating, but I'm basically following Dr. Collins' lead on what he wants to do. And our role is advisory and support. So he's laying out the roadmap and we're supporting as needed. And I'm assuming he would be coordinating with his advisory group as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Stacy, Brian, this was the email that went out on April 23rd at 7:53 p.m. and it looks just like this. So if you didn't get it, email Jim Poteet.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Jim.
And he'll
check your
resend it.
spam or junk folder too.
I did that too while we were sitting here, but yeah, nothing there. So I'll reach out to Jim. Thanks.
Yeah, that sounds good. Awesome. Okay, any other comments or questions on our committees? Definitely shoot me an email if you've heard something that's of interest to you and you think you can contribute. Our committees are always looking for additional help and support. So if there's something that sparked your interest, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'd love to get you plugged into that. All right, and we are doing awesome on time, so thank you to everyone for that.
Stacy.
Yeah. Do you have a few more comments, Creepy? Yeah.
Yeah, just real quick. When you were, because Mike Bartlett was not able to join the call. One of the task or focus after this K Society is the local meet and greet. So in the slides there was a bullet on, you know, soliciting local hosts. So if you are interested, I think we're talking about Dallas. This year, Stacy, are we talking about mainly Dallas or Oklahoma City?
I think Dallas will be the fall. What were we saying? November timeframe is what we were targeting, and we're trying to append it to something else going on in the area. And I think there's a sports, like a football game or something there that weekend that we were targeting. So yeah, if you have a home in Dallas and are willing to host or be a co-host, let us know, because we're looking for for someone to do that. And as well, the second one probably after the first of the year would be Tulsa or Oklahoma City. So yes, thank you, Guiping. We need host and co-host for those activities.
And I also, the second thing I want to say that I noticed Rachel Baroku, she's online. She's our OSU Foundation connection. So Rachel, I don't know whether you can introduce yourself to the group.
There she is.
Certainly.
Hi, Rachel.
Thank you so much. I wish I could have joined you all when you were here in person last fall, but I was under the weather. So I've been able to work with Dr. Hu and TCA to better re-engage our alumni, and we hope to see some of those efforts bear fruit over the next few months. Thank you all.
Awesome.
And Rachel has been instrumental in terms of making us follow the rules, and then in the process of establish the Giving Society and other foundation related things. Thank you, Rachel.
Okay.
That's all I have, Stacy.
Okay, great. So really, I just wanted to say a few words to those that have been involved in TCA. Really appreciate your commitment to OSU and to IEM. For those that maybe haven't been as involved, now's a great time to engage and get to know more of your fellow IEM alums and support our department. So there's many, many ways and different forms that support takes. And really last, I hope that I see everyone in person at our annual meeting. We're trying to get that on calendars early so you can block it out, because I know everybody is very, very busy. So on Thursday, September 5th in Stillwater will be our annual meeting, and then we'll do our induction ceremony. There's a football game that Saturday against Arkansas, which hopefully will be a good game to stay over for if you want to stay in Stillwater then. So definitely hope to see all of you at that. And again, at the May 2nd, Ken Case Society, I guess, reception, virtual reception. So, if you're able to attend in person, that would be great. If you're able to dial in, though, that will be fantastic, just to honor Ken Case and his legacy and kick off this awesome giving program. So appreciate
Stacey,
all your,
Can I just add one more thing? Sure. Actually, Ken just texted me. He was planning to attend this event, but he was not feeling well today, and he just wanted to make sure that I mentioned to this group that was not intentional. He was planning to join. And along the line of the Ken Case Giving Society, like I mentioned earlier, right now we have 50,000 new pledges. So if you are interested, I know, well, Stacy may slap on my hand. So if I'm not supposed to ask for so if you're interested, please let Stacy and me know, because I want to be able to announce how much we have in the new pledges. And so that we can sort of encourage or promote that society in a much more proactive way. I know, yeah, Greg.
I never got a request for a donation just to do a video. Can you correct that, somebody?
So Rachel,
if this is
maybe
for Rachel, but
well, correct me if I'm wrong. We weren't really announcing it until today. It's a soft announce today.
Today's the soft launch. Yeah, so we're it's hot off the press. But
okay.
I think
You had
more
to be
to
an
come.
insider.
Looking forward to receiving it.
I'm happy to send you a pledge form in about 5 minutes, Greg.
Thank you.
In 5 seconds, Mitch.
Consider it done for
5
another
seconds,
10K,
yes.
bitch.
All right, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Or Greg, any other questions? What other hands? Okay, I think we're good. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your attendance today and appreciate your engagement. So everyone have a great weekend. I am going to post this recording for those that weren't able to be with us.
Great. Thank you,
Okay.
Stacy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.